Promise, I'm starting my dinner. It's actually a little after 1 in the morning, so it's officially Christmas, so Merry Christmas. I just had to get a little bit of sleep, so I have the energy to do this. So yeah, I'm doing my lasagna right now. Right now, I just have like about 1 pound of ground beef frying, and in a little while, I'm going to add some mushroom and some seasoning. So I'll be back. Now at this point, I'm just adding some mushrooms, and then because I'm only making a small lasagna, I'm just going to do, I'm not even going to do a teaspoon of seasoning. First, I'm going to let some of the water absorb or whatever. But because I'm doing like a small one, I only used a pound of ground beef. Rather than use a teaspoon like I normally do, I'm only going to do a half a teaspoon of each seasoning, and then I'm going to do an 1/8 teaspoon of pepper. So the seasoning, I'm going to do a half a teaspoon of seasoning salt. That's your choice. And I'm going to do a half a teaspoon of oregano. And then I'm going to do an 1/8 teaspoon of black pepper. And I will be back. Just turn the heat up a little bit, or a lot, to get all of that liquid to absorb or whatever. So I have it on like, I put it on like 6. I have an electric stove. So once most of this stuff, the liquid has absorbed, I will then add my sauce, and I will be right back. Now what I've done to get most of this liquid to absorb or evaporate, I put my fire to the highest setting. Right now I have it on 8. I have an electric stove because I do want to add, usually I'll drain it, but the last time I did this, surprisingly, I didn't even have to drain it or anything. I just added my sauce, you know, I put it, like I said, on the highest setting, and waited for the liquid to absorb most of it. So we'll see what happens. And by the way, I'm going to use Prego fresh mushroom sauce. That's what I'm going to do. So yes, I'm using jarred fresh mushroom sauce, but I know how to doctor it up real well. Like I said, I made this for that graduation, and it was a hit. So, you know. Okay, I'll be back. So I've added about 6 cups of lasagna to my sauce. Oops. Hold up 1 second. I added about 6 cups of lasagna to my sauce, but I think I'm going to add another cup because I do want like a saucy lasagna. I hate dry lasagnas. So yeah, so that'll be 7 cups, and then I'll come back and show you what I do next. Okay, so what I did was add, I would say anywhere from 5 to 6 half teaspoons of sugar, just to take out some of the acidity. Again, I mean, I'm not making spaghetti, but I do like to add a little bit of sugar to my sauce, you know, as I mentioned, to take out some of the acidity. So I'm just going to bring this to a boil. I'm going to bring it to a nice rapid boil, and I'm going to let it simmer for about just 30 minutes. Nothing more, nothing less. I'm just keeping it simple. So I'll be back when, you know, it's done simmering or whatever. And that's that. All right, now that the sauce is at a rapidly boiling, again, I'm just going to cover it, and I'm going to put it on simmer for 30 minutes. Now that the sauce is boiling, I'm going to actually do my ricotta cheese mixture. Again, I have lasagna recipes, but I still had half left. This was actually a 32-ounce container. And again, because I only used a pound of ground beef the last time, even when I did the graduation, if you saw that video, I only needed to use half of this. So it's going to be the same thing just half of this. And I don't know if I mentioned, but it's the ricotta cheese that I'm adding to the bowl right now. As usual, and this is optional. I'm just gonna add, excuse me, a little bit of, this is just parsley flakes. I always like to sprinkle a little bit on, just whatever. It's really optional, not necessary to add if you don't want. And then again, I'm going to do, like I said, because I'm not doing a big lasagna, just gonna take a half a teaspoon of seasoning salt. And then about an 1/8 teaspoon of black pepper. Trust me, a little goes a long way. And then I'm going to get my cheeses, which I will show you in a minute. I've actually added a new addition to the cheeses, aside from the mozzarella and the ricotta. So I'll show you in a minute. The other day I wanted to try something different in my lasagna, so I got this. And so this is the 4-cheese Mexican blend I actually use in my macaroni, which I'm going to make in a little while. So with this, I actually add, I use like 2/3 cup of this 4-cheese Mexican. And then I'm probably going to use I'm going to use a whole block of the mozzarella cheese. It's the Polly-O brand. You don't have to use that, but that's what I like. And then, so I'm going to use a whole, what is that, 16-ounce block. And then I'm going to use half of the other one, which will be 8 ounces. And I actually have another half, again, when I make a small lasagna, you know, I have things left over. So with the remaining cheese, including the Mexican blend, I'm actually going to use that for my topping. So again, I'm only going to use 2/3 of this. And I'm going to use a 16-ounce block of cheese. It's the whole milk mozzarella, Polly-O. It's not the grated one. I'm just going to dice it up. And then I'm going to use another half of the same one. And again, the remaining ingredients will be for my topping. This is the cheese I use. Again, I'm going to use this whole one, put into the, this whole thing I'm going to dice up and put into the bowl. And then I'm going to take this and slice it in half, which will be 8 ounces. And again, the remaining cheeses will be used for my topping. That should be a nice cheesy topping. So I'll be back when I'm done all dicing and all that. So now that I've got my cheese diced, this is my mozzarella. I'm actually going to add another half cup of this mozzarella. So I do have another block. Again, I'm just going to use a half cup of it. And then the remaining cheeses will be for my topping. So again, I use one 16-ounce block. I dice it up. And I'm going to use another 8 ounces, which will be half of the other 16-ounce block. And, no, excuse me. I'm going to do a half a cup of the other one. So I have a whole other 16-ounce block. I'm just going to use a half cup of cheese from that. And then again, it'll just be like the recipe to put on the top. Almost forgot, I have to add an egg. How could I forget that? That's usually one of the first things I do. So yeah, I'm going to add 1 egg. Okay. Now I'll get that consistency that I'm looking for. I knew something was missing. Okay. So I'm just waiting for my sauce to finish. Should be soon now. Like I said, I only let it simmer for 30 minutes, so pretty soon. Sauce is all done. That's the consistency that I needed it to be. It's all done. Any excess fat, I'll just skim off. My lasagna noodles are cooking. It's really, I mean, the only thing I can really do is just go ahead and add some sauce to the bottom of my pan. That's all I can really do. Because again, the noodles are cooking, so. again, that's about all I can do. And I am, however, going to I'm going to preheat the oven to 375, not about, to 375. And I'm going to do that now. And that's it. Let's put the top back on here. So I'll be back. As promised, I am cooking right now. I'm doing lasagna. And I'm going to upload a little bit of everything. So don't think that I forgot the videos because I'm up cooking right now. I had a nice little nap. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm just waiting for my lasagna noodles to finish. So I've already put some noodles down and ricotta cheese. Again, I have a whole lasagna video. So, and I'm just going to put some sauce over. You know, as I mentioned earlier, I do like to have enough sauce. I do not like dry lasagna. So I'm just going to do this and I'll be back. So I literally am trying to scrape every little bit of ricotta that's left. Remember, I only had half left from the last time. And I pretty much did the same thing the last time. So, you know, since this is what I have left, I'm just going to take some more sauce and put it on top. Again, I like my stuff to be, I don't like dry lasagna. And I'm going to put another layer of noodles on top. Obviously, there will not be any ricotta to add this time, but it's okay. I have more than enough. And I'm just going to add some cheese. Okay, so I literally just finished scraping every bit of ricotta that I had left. It was the noodles underneath this one. I just added like a little bit of ricotta. I didn't even add any you know, mozzarella or anything. That's just for my top, and it's okay. So I just placed these noodles on top of the noodles that had, like, you know, the little bit of ricotta that was left. And of course I put sauce over that so it wouldn't be like dry. So I'm just going to take what's left of the sauce, which is not much. Again, like I said, I like my stuff to be, I don't like dry lasagna. Sorry. Have to have some sauce. I'm just going to take what's left. And I'm going to add my cheese. Okay, so the way I'm going to, so I've already had, remember I said I had the 8 ounce of the Polly-O mozzarella. I just diced it up. I'm just going to put that in there. Try to get it in there good. So I don't want it to stick to the foil. I'm going to sprinkle the remainder of the Mexican cheese blend right on top. And yes, my hands are clean, so that's all the cheese. I'm just trying to pat it down to prevent it from sticking to the foil. Again, my hands are clean, so I'm just gonna put foil on. And again, I do not want the cheese to stick, so I'm just gonna wash my hands again, and I'm just gonna put it on not too tight. You know, I want it to be a little loose, not too tight. And then I'm gonna cook it for 1/2 hour. After a 1/2 hour, I'm going to remove the foil and cook it for another 1/2 hour. So again, after I wash my hands, I'm going to put foil on this, put it in a 375 degree oven, and cook it for 30 minutes. As a matter of fact, let me do this really quick. I like to add like a little bit of parsley, I don't know, the top. not too much. Whatever. Okay. Now I'm all set. I just like to do that. It's optional. So again, let me wash my hands and then put my foil and pop it in the oven. Okay. My lasagna is finally ready to go in the oven. I told you all I was going to come and make some videos. I was not joking. So yeah, I'm about to put it in the oven. First, I got to put my foil on. And you'll see the outcome of it when I upload like the video. All right. Lasagna is all finished. I just took it out. It came out really good. And now I am about to prep my turkey. I'm going to show some of that right now. So the next thing I'm going to do is prep some chuck steaks for later. These did not take long to cook at all. You know, I usually do like a chuck roast or something. But as always, again, they're out, so I always opt for like a chuck steak or whatever. And the meat market was closed yesterday because that would have been my choice, you know, to go and get the steak. Anyway, like, I'm going to get this ready and prep it, and I'm going to record that and upload it. Then I'm going to prep my desserts, which is just a cobbler, cake, and sweet potato pie. And I have videos on every last one of them. And that's it. So right now I'm just cutting up some chuck steaks. I have my kitchen shears, and so I like going to a butcher. They could do this for me, but that's okay. And then I'll show you my next step because I made a little bit different now. Not too much, but I will show you my next step. Again, I'm just prepping because the turkey is in the oven. And everything that I'm cooking is a completely different temperature than the turkey. So, oh well. I was wrong. I'm actually going to be able to cook the steak along with the turkey because I forgot I cooked them at the same temperature. Perfect. So I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so for the seasoning, same thing. I just put the meat in like an old pot just to season it well. So I do the same thing. So an 1/8 teaspoon of pepper. And I'm only going to do 1 teaspoon of garlic powder. And I'm just going to do a teaspoon of seasoning salt. And that's that. And then I'm going to add my sazon packets as well. I'm going to add 2. But that's the garlic powder. And again, a teaspoon of seasoning salt. This is like 2 pounds, so I'm going to add my 2 packets. Again, this is optional. It's just what I like to do. And then I just mix all of this stuff around until it's well coated with the seasoning. What I've done was I put a couple tablespoons of canola oil in a pan, and I'm just going to let these fry for about 5 minutes per side on medium heat. I have an electric stove, so like 5-6. So again, 5 minutes per side. I'm gonna let them get, you know, nice and brown, and it's on medium heat, like 5 to 6 on an electric stove, which is what I'm using. Alright, so I just flipped it over. Yes, I do keep some of the fat on to add flavor. So I flipped it over. I'm going to let it cook another 5 minutes, and I'm going to do the same thing with the next batch and so forth and so on until it's complete. So after this, I'm just going to set this aside. I have a disposable pan, as I always do on holidays. It makes it much easier for cleanup. So again, I'm going to fry this for 5 minutes. I just turned it. I'm going to do the next batch. And again, so forth and so on until it's all done. I'm still browning the meat. It's coming along very nicely. And I tasted a small piece that was actually cooked. And it was seasoned like perfectly. So that's great. Keep back when I'm done, you know, browning all the meat. Now that the meat is all done, I'm just going to add some water to the pan. And I'm going to take some Worcestershire sauce, about a tablespoon, and I'm going to add that in as well. This is optional. And then I'm going to take some oregano. Yeah, I don't think the pan was actually going to work, so I'm just going to take this. So I just put it in my little pan and just put the liquid in, and I'm going to let this braise. I'm going to cover it. I'm going to put this in a 325 degree oven for about an hour and 15 minutes. And again, the liquid I just added was basically, you know, what you saw me add to the pan when I did like the herbs and everything. If you want, you know what, I'm actually going to add an onion, just a piece of an onion, not even half. But I do like to have an onion, so let me do that really quick. Okay, so I'm going to, that's it, like I said, not a lot. Added the onion to the pot, as you can see, and like I said, it's not a big piece at all, but I do like to, you know, have a little bit of the onion flavor. So I'm going to put this in a 325 degree oven for about an hour and 15 minutes or so. So 325, 1 hour and 15 minutes. So that meat is all done, cooked really nicely. There's still some gravy in it, as you can see, or broth. I'm not going to make a gravy out of it. It's fine as is. That's how we like to eat it. So yeah, that's all done. The turkey should be done shortly. So everything's coming along very nicely. You have to try this braised steak. This is the next day, and I kid you not, it is amazing. I wish I had like a better sentence. Just trust me, it's really good. The flavors are wonderful. Like, everything just works so well together. Everything I use, and I only use a half a teaspoon, you know what I'm saying? Which is great. I mean, the flavors are incredible. Try this. You know, make it the night before, and you'll see what I mean. So good. With this, another thing, even though I cooked it in the oven, you just reheat it over the stove. I don't like mine super hot, but I like it to be warm, and it is so good. Trust me. Please try this recipe. Let me know what you think. You will not be disappointed. Trust me. And like chuck steak, it's like really cheap cut of meat. So again, I just can't stop saying it. The flavors are incredible. And again, you know, you can reheat it over the stove, and it doesn't take long to cook in the oven. I braised it for an hour and 15 minutes. That's it. Done. So give it a try. Let me know. The cake that I did, it's just a regular strawberry cake with strawberry frosting, and that's